Hi, Charlie. I thought I'd make you a tape because I don't like to write letters. I can't type worth a darn, and writing's even worse. You can't even read it by the time I get done with it. So I thought I'd make a tape and tell you stuff that's going on here and send you out some stuff so you can eat and listen or read and listen. I'm going to get a change of address tomorrow and send your watchtowers. Make sure the Awaken watchtowers come to you. If you're not already getting them, I'll put through, excuse me, oh gee, that was polite. I was eating a sandwich. Burped here, sorry about that. Anyway, I'll make sure you're getting your magazines, and so you got something to read while you're laying around your room, you know. They're pretty good. They sent out two, one's on natural disasters, you know, are they really acts of God? Because everybody, as soon as you get an earthquake or a bad storm, everybody says, whoops, wait a minute, the volume's going up now. Didn't have it up high. Everybody says, oh, God did it, but the question is, did he really? Is he the one really causing these bad things to happen? But anyway, I thought you'd enjoy getting the magazines again. Yeah, let's see, what do we do today? I've been up since 7:30. It's about 11 o'clock tonight. I don't know what I did. I was busy all day long. I worked, let's see, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I clean an apartment complex. There's 6 buildings, and there's 5, 10, oh man, there's about 28 entrances, and there are 3 stories, and I do the hallways, and they're really a killer, you know, going up and down the steps. The first month I thought I was going to have a coronary, but I just laid down the hole and cried a lot. But once I got, you know, used to them, they're not too bad, but there's a lot to them. You got to sweep and vacuum and do the windows, and there's chair molding and all kinds of junk. And the woman I work for, she's not real easy to work for, so it makes it unpleasant. So you kind of got to be on your toes all the time. And I just try to be extra polite to her, and it seems to work. So it's going okay. And then on Thursdays, I have 2 cleans. I have a doctor's house and another woman. And then Friday, I have a doctor's office I clean. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays I go to meetings, and so I'm pretty busy most of the time. And every other Tuesday I have a house I clean also. I clean for, I don't know if you heard of him, Gene Norris. Owns Gene Norris Oldsmobile and all that stuff. Well, they own 2 homes. They go to Lake Tahoe and they go to Desert Springs in the winter. Must be tough, you know. Anyway, they do that, but their son lives there at their home in Ledgewood, so I go ahead and I clean that every other week while they're gone. But then when they come back in the summer, I go there and they let Harvey use the pool at Ledgewood. And pretty nice pool, big Olympic size and diving boards and all this. So I go to work and he generally goes to the pool, you know. So anyway, I didn't have work, so I went out in service, but I had a lot of other stuff to do today. I cleaned the house and ran around, and I had to, all week I was getting the 1099s typed out for Rick for his business and junk like that, you know. So let me stop and think for a minute what else we did. Oh, I know. We've got Harvey's conference tomorrow at school. He thinks he's getting all B's and an A. Kid does okay at school. I don't know where he gets his brains. Must not be from our side of the family, because he really pulls some good grades, you know. So I guess that leaves where he got him from us out. But anyway, I haven't seen Linda lately. I talked to Mom the other day. She said she had a cold, but I've never talked to Mom and had her feel good yet, so I wasn't surprised. But anyway, I'm going to try to meet him for dinner one night with Harvey. I found a t-shirt at this nature store, and you know, you go in the store and they got all these insect things and birds and rocks and all these, you know, so you're looking at all this nature stuff, and then there's these t-shirts, and the one said, "Know your insects." And I pulled it out and I opened it up, you know, I looked at it, and it's got these really funny looking pictures of bugs on it, you know. Well, one of them was underneath that's got names like, you know, Doug, Chuck, Liz. You know, it's got all these, Linda. I think the only thing it didn't have was like Charlie on it, you know, but it had insects, and I thought, gee, they'd have ant or spider or whatever, but instead they got these names on it. It looked goofy. So I got that for Dad, and I got Mom just a candle that burns and smells good, you know. So I'll take that down to them pretty soon, see how they're doing. We've had an awful lot of snow here. It's been real cold. It was 19 below zero last week or the week before. Tonight it's going down 9 below or something. I mean, it's pitiful. It's so cold. I can't stand it, you know. A couple weeks ago, let's see, was it a couple weeks ago? Probably was a couple weeks ago. I had to tell Mom or Linda or anybody. Rick and me and Harv went down to the Bahamas for 4 days, 3 nights. You can go down pretty cheap here. It doesn't cost a lot. Pretty reasonable. But Rick was real sick. He had bronchitis. So we got him a shot before we left, and then when he got down there, he stayed in bed most of the time. But I took Harvey, and we did a couple of neat things. One thing we did was we went on this boat thing out to snorkel. It's called UNEXO, Underwater Explorer Society. And you know, you get on this boat, it takes you out probably 1/4 of a mile, half a mile out, you know, on the reef, and jump off with your snorkel and fins, and it was the most beautiful fish you could ever imagine in your life. And reefs, you go underwater, and there's all these big purple fans. I don't know if you know what they are, but they're like net. They're a coral, I guess, or a underwater plant. But these were bright purple fans, and then there's like an orange coral growing, and just so many colors, and the fish are there, and the one we saw a lot of, they're called parrotfish, and they're purple and turquoise and green, and they had these big, yellow ones were down there, and bright, like purple ones with like silver specks on them, just glowing, and absolutely beautiful. We were in about 20-25 feet of water snorkeling. Stayed out there about 55 minutes. Rick was on the boat that day. We got down, what day did we go? Sunday we left. Sunday he stayed in, he went to bed early. Then Monday he stayed in bed all day. Tuesday was when we went snorkeling. He went out on the boat with us, but he didn't go in. And then Wednesday we left to come home. But he was on the boat. I kept telling him, put your mask on, jump in. You gotta see this, you know. Well, he wouldn't. So much for the water sports. And then we had a whole bunch of scuba divers on the boat, and they got off in the water, but you know, they didn't like it because they said it wasn't deep enough for them. But the driver of the boat said there wasn't anything to look at out further. But this place will take you scuba diving to feed sharks if you want. I guess the waters are real infested with them. I don't really think feeding them by hand is a real good idea, you know. And I don't think getting them used to people is a real good idea either. But they do. That's how they make their money down there, you know, tourist attraction stuff. Let's see what else we do. Then we found a fishing boat, and we put Rick on it. It was half a day out for like $30. You know, snorkeling only was $15 a person, you know. So Rick went. Herb and I shipped him on the boat, you know, and he went out. I guess he caught a 17-inch eel. Eel of all things, you know. Who wheeled that baby in, you know. So. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be good eating. Well, you go ahead and eat it. I don't want it. So anyway, what did we do? Oh, we got on this other boat thing. It's called the Dolphin Experience, and it's privately owned, and it's about a 2-hour thing. You get on this big, looks like a pontoon boat, but it fits about, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, fit 100 people at least, you know. And they take you. You're not on the ocean, but you're going through the back parts where the boats are docked and tied up and all this junk. I don't know what you call it, a channel or something. So you go on back, and you finally get to where they've got these dolphins. And they got 11 of them, and one of the dolphins is from the movie Cocoon. You know, there's a dolphin in it. Well, Cocoon is now in the Bahamas and living well. And anyway, they talk to you about these dolphins for about, I don't know how long, you know. And then when you're done, you can go down in the water, and you can pet them. You know, it's really neat. I got a picture of me. Well, they made a video of it, of me in there petting the dolphins, and Harv threw it a fish. He didn't want to go in because it was really chilly down there. It was about 67, 70, and it was windy, and the ocean was real cold. We wore wetsuits when we snorkeled because it was so cold. Keep you pretty warm. But anyway, we got a nice video of it, feeding the dolphins, and they really feel neat. They're real soft, and I don't know, I like how they felt. They're real, you know, and it was so funny if you could have seen it. The one was, you know, they slapped their arms on the water like they're waving, you know. It's kind of cute. But anyway, this guy had all this information. He said if you fell in the water, they wouldn't rescue you like Flipper. They'd go the other way. And he said they don't breathe through their mouth. They breathe through the hole in their head. And they make that noise through their head too. But he said all that talking that you hear dolphins doing on Flipper, he said it's a cartoon guy, like the guy that does Bugs Bunny or somebody, that dolphins don't, yeah, you know. That's too bad. I was practicing for months before we went, you know, you know, so I could talk to these things. And I get down there, hey, they don't talk, you know. Anyway, he thought they were, he said they got a primitive brain, which I'm not surprised, or a fish, and, but they seem pretty neat, and I don't know, it was just really, it was a lot of fun. Then we came back here and it was freezing, but let's see what else we've been doing. Rick is in Pennsylvania working. He's doing siding, and then he'll be home. He called and said he was getting a car phone. I told him that I don't think that's a good idea because they really charge you up the kazoo for these things, you know, the calls. So, you know, we talked about it, and I said, Rick, you know, they're going to, he says, I can call anywhere for 37 cents. I says, Rick, you know, the phone won't reach anywhere. You only got a certain area you're limited in. He goes, no, this guy told me 37 cents. You know, I go, okay, go ahead, you know. So anyway, he gets this phone. He calls yesterday and said he got this phone, and he's really mad. He's taking it back. Thing won't call outside of this range, and then you got to pay more charges, and I'm biting back that I told you. So anyway, I called tonight, and I guess he got the phone back out. He gave it back to the guy. You know, they make you sign a contract. You're going to keep it for 6 months or a year. I think it's like a real scam. I don't know. Well, I suppose it's useful if you need it, but I just think, knowing Rick, he'd be on the highway calling everybody because he hates driving alone and he loves to talk. We'd be looking at a big bill every month. So, let's see. Let me think what I'm doing here. Wait a minute. How do you stop this thing? Okay, I'm back. Let me turn my volume up again so I record loud. I don't have to scream. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you in the Bahamas too. Harvey and I went walking down the beach as far as we could go, and I walk along, and all of a sudden we find this hermit crab. You know what they are? Little hermit crab just trucking on down the road, you know. And we left him down there because I figured that's his home, you know. But it was kind of cute. There he was, just out for a walk, you know, in the morning. And when I bought that video of doing the dolphin thing, there's this guy there, and they have this, they film you, and then they take in this room and they show you, you can watch this film and then decide if you want to purchase it, you know, it's extra. So anyway, this guy, he's a tall guy, he's a little overweight, you know, and he's really looking kind of bad, you know. We're all standing in this room watching this video, and I'm, you know, we're standing there, and I hear him, he's talking to his wife, and there he is on it, and he goes, oh, well, look at that. Look how big I look. You know, like he looks really good, you know. And I'm thinking, yeah, boy, you look big, all right. But then he buys one, you know. He's got to have one, you know. So every time we play this video, Harvey and I go, hey, there's that guy. He thinks he's so good looking. It was kind of funny, you know. This guy looks so bad, you know. It was like, ew. But let's see. Oh, they got a lot of cats running around this hotel down there. I guess we got those curly-tailed lizards, you know, and if the cats catch them and eat them, so the visitors aren't freaking out with lizards running everywhere. I think the lizards are cute, you know, myself. They don't bother you. I was trying to catch one and bring it home, but they're fast little devils, boy. I mean, they can book, you know. Can't sneak up on them either. It's like they got little ears all over their heads, you know. Speaking of catching stuff, or one cat, baby, the fat one, boy, is he a mouser. He's caught about last week or the week before when it was so cold. I bet he caught about 5 mice that came in, because they're coming in like crazy because it's freezing out there, and boy, that sucker can catch them, you know. But the one night, I heard him come in the bedroom, and I said, the way he was moving, I said, uh-oh, he's got a mouse, you know. So I put my head on the covers, and I guess he jumped up in bed with the mouse, and in the morning we found the mouse. Actually, we didn't find the mouse. Rick was sitting in the bathroom with the door shut, and baby slung it under the door, you know, shot it in the bathroom. Rick goes, look what the cat brought. Open the door, and there's this dead mouse laying there. I said, he had it in bed with us last night. And Rick goes, you know, something bit me on the foot and hung on for a long time. I said, gee. you know. And he said it bit him in the side too, you know. So we have exciting nights around here. I just got Rick a new comforter because he's had the other one for about 12 years, you know, and he's got to have his blankie. So anyway, I went and I bought him a goose down comforter. I got it pennies on sale, real good price, because they're real expensive. But I got it pretty cheap, you know. So I brought it home, and you got to put another cover on it to protect it, because you got to get them dry cleaned, I guess, you know. The book said every 5 years, but the Rick shoves it up his butt. I don't think 5 years is going to get it, you know. So anyway, you're supposed to wash and dry this comforter first, so I'm working on it. Well, this cat will not stay off that comforter. Man, I don't know if it's the feathers or it's soft or what, but it's like I go in there and he's laying on his back and he's turning around and spinning. And it's like, I'm telling Harvey, get this cat off this comforter, man. He's driving me nuts. I don't have the cover on it yet, you know. So Harv brings them out and they're both excited about it, you know. Harv's all, you know, jumping. Can we get on it now, you know? So I get I'm buttoning up the cover on the bottom. They make a leap for the bed. Cat panics, grabs the cover, and it looked like we were afraid he tore it because he sunk his claws in. Then when that didn't work, he sunk his claws in Harv. Harv and the cat are in the bed under the covers. Harv's bleeding. And I'm like, gee, people, we haven't even got it on the bed yet. You know, give me a break here. So finally, we put a Band-Aid on the kid and got the cat out of the bed again. What a day, you know. Let's see, what else have I done today? I don't know. I had a Bible study I did. I thought what I'd do is, once a month or whatever, I'd make a tape, and, you know, I was thinking of keeping a tape in this thing, and then telling you every day what's been going on in our life, because we can never remember anything to tell you. You know, something that happens yesterday, like the neighbor's house caught on fire not too long ago and all this stuff, you know. Well, it's hard to talk about it a month later because you kind of forget, you know. But I thought I could tell you, you know, the stuff that's going on and what's happening. And then I thought, you'll like this part, you know. I know you're going, oh yeah, right. That red book, it keeps coming out to you. I sent one out to Sherry and she probably, I don't know where she put it, probably filed it, you know. But anyway, that was that one I made, chapter 1, on the other tape I sent you. And you said you listened to it. So, you know, I appreciate that. Because if I didn't believe this stuff, I wouldn't be talking about it. And I thought what I'd do is maybe when I send you tape, do like a few minutes in the book too, with the Bible. And just so, I don't know, just so you figure out what I'm talking about here. Let's see. You know, like in the first part, the first chapter was talking about the Bible's got a promise you can live on earth forever. You know, like, okay, when we went to, you didn't go to church, you know, Mom dragged me and Linda to church, and I hated it, Charlie, because you never learned anything. It didn't make any sense. Some preacher kept telling you you're going to die and go to hell, or you're going to go to someplace, heaven, which I could never even imagine. And when I started studying with the witnesses, there is a heaven, which is what you describe where God lives, okay? But people are not going there, not the majority of people, only a few. And what they teach in church is not the truth about God, and it's not what the Bible says. And if you just take a few minutes on the tape, and what I'll do is give you the page number of the book of the Bible, because if you're like most people, and you're like me, you really don't know where the books are in the Bible until you use it more. And I'll just give you the page number, and just follow along in it, and it'll make sense to you, Charlie, because it's not written like a book. You can't take a Bible and read it from the front to the back. It won't work, because the word Bible means little books, and it's 66 little books, and they're all in harmony, and they all relate to one another. And so when you're reading it, and it also explains itself. I don't interpret it. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't interpret the Bible. The Bible interprets itself, you know, and I'll show you that later as we go in it. But what happens is people read it and they get real emotional, and they read something and they apply it to themselves, or they misinterpret it, and they teach it, and they're teaching it for their own satisfaction, and they're also teaching lies on purpose, because they really don't want people to worship the true God. Because it's late now. It's about 11:30. I'll probably quit for tonight and finish this up tomorrow. I'm having a lot of trouble with that hiatal hernia again. I get hold of that stupid Mexican food, and I start eating them jalapenos, And after a couple of weeks, boy, my esophagus starts getting inflamed, and I get that, like, short of breath again, like I'm having a heart attack. I sure hope I'm not. But I keep thinking it's a hiatal hernia, so I started going back on the Zantac today, and I'm trying to eat cottage cheese, and I like a bagel with just a piece of, like, chicken on it, like lunch meat or something. It's not so hard to digest, because what do you do, or what do you eat? Because I know you got the same thing, Charlie. I told Mom, the doctor said we're born with it. It's like similar to a birth defect, And so I listen to this one. I told Mom, I says, well, the doctor says it's like a birth defect. And B&D, she ain't taking the blame for nothing, So she goes, well, you were a preemie. I mean, it wouldn't have been her fault anyway, but she's quick, man. You're not going to lay no blame on her, I didn't do it. You did it. But anyway, it's acting up. And it's like, sometimes I don't know if you ever had it do it. I think you said you did. It, like, mimics a heart attack. And I get those chest pains again. It's a stupid thing. So I'll lay off the coffee. And when am I going to yawn? Oh, boy. I felt great, Anyway, I'll lay off the coffee and watch what I eat and pull myself out of it again. Sometimes I drink that liquid stuff. They got it in a can. Ensure or something. You get it at the drugstore. You probably gain weight if you ate 3 of them a day, man. They're high in calories, but they got all your vitamins and everything. So what I do is I take this stuff. It's so thick and gross. I pour like half a can of that stuff, and I pour a bunch of milk in it to mix it down because it's too heavy. But when I start getting that chest stuff, it goes in my back and everything. It drives me nuts. I get it from stress, We've had a lot of stress this year. We're in a lawsuit with a guy. I didn't tell Mom. I'm going to tell you stuff now. I don't tell them because I don't need them to help me with my problems, Charlie. And what they do is, even though they mean well, they generally make them worse because sometimes they give me the worst advice I've ever heard in my life. Plus the fact there's nothing they can do. And a lot of times I just want to forget about, like this lawsuit until we have to think about it. And, it'd be like every time I call them, they'd be saying, well, what'd you hear about the lawsuit? What'd you hear about the lawsuit? And I just don't want to think about it sometimes. We're in this court thing with this guy, and this guy's a real butthole. I mean, there's no other way to say it. This guy's a creep, It's very expensive. Puts a lot of stress on us. He's countersuing, and it's not, the court date's in August now, and it's like, it's been going on since we filed suit beginning of September, so it's going to be like almost a year before this thing's over. And it's just such a pain in the butt, But, then my car, I gotta tell you about my car. Then I'm gonna do your Bible lesson, and then I'll talk to you during it. Then you'll have to listen to it, okay? Yeah. Rick got me a 93 Volkswagen last year, okay? We got the car home, and before we got it home, we noticed there was like a scratch on the hood. So the guy says, don't worry, we'll paint it. Well, I put it in, I get it painted. I didn't have it painted a week. I'm taking Harv up to East Harbor to go camping. Somebody in front of me, the car throws a rock. Big dent in the front of the car, So I said, okay, okay, no problem, we'll get it fixed, I went to work. A couple weeks later, I didn't get it fixed yet. At the Norris's, Marilyn Norris backs out of her garage right into my car. She backs into my car. She panics. She pulls forward to see how much damage she did. Didn't put it in park. Got out of the car. The car rolled back, hit it again. She comes in. She goes, I hit your car. I said, well, you own a car lot. I guess it'll be okay. So anyway, put it in, they painted it. And while I had it in, I said, how much for the the thing? So I paid for that, $50. I don't know how good of a job they did. The car's silver, and I guess it's really hard to match, I'm happy if the one door's all the same color. I'm not too hard to please, So let's see what happened next to it. I'm driving, it's got this funny smell, and I call the place, they go, it's burning some, and you'd know about this stuff, I gotta ask you, it's just burning off gaskets and things, it'll be okay. Smells gross, I mean, Harv's like gagging in the car, and I'm thinking, man, if I ever got the flu, there's no way I'm going to drive this car to the doctor. Took it in. They said the gasket was leaking. That's what the Yugo did. They said, what was it, the head gasket or something? So they gave me a loaner, nice car, what was it? Oh, what are those stinking cars they got? Subaru or something? Rick liked it. I don't know, it's kind of round, it looks like you're in a big donut or something. I don't really like a fat car, But anyway, they fixed that. So I get the lousy car home, I'm driving down the road last week. I hit bang, and I thought, uh-oh, sounded like a rock or something. Well, I don't see anything, so we're in the car on Sunday going to the meeting. And Rick goes, all right, where'd you get this crack in the window? And I look, and the windshield's cracked. It's got a rock hit it, Charlie, And, what gets me? The guy says, why'd you let the car hit you with a rock? Gee, Rick, I don't know. I just couldn't dodge it that day, I know that was a stupid question to ask your marriage mate, just don't make any sense, So anyway, now I got to get the windshield fixed. Something about this car, man. I know, right after I got the thing, the trunk locked. I couldn't get anything out of the trunk, I had to get the trunk punched out, the lock, So it's like, it's tragic, I don't know if there's one on the lot. We pick them. We've got like a sixth sense about these sort of things. If there's a bad car in it, you can give us a lot of 200 to choose from, and we'll go for it every time, no problem. Bad time with cars, And then every time I call Mom, she goes, well, our starter went out. Alan came and fixed it. And it's like, I don't know what car problems are, Mom. That's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. So, I don't even tell her, Charlie. Oh, let's see what else is going on. Oh, those cookies are supposed to be shortbread cookies. I don't know, You judge for yourself, kid. They're a little tough going in, So, all right, let's start this thing. Sooner we get this over with, sooner you'll be happy. No, this is really interesting. If you take the time and really listen, you're going to really learn some stuff. You learn a lot of stuff from the Bible. You learn what's true and what's not true about a lot of different things. Like, for instance, when we're in the Bahamas, this guy talking about the dolphins. He's yapping away, he goes, well, we believe that at one time dolphins walked on the land with on all fours, and we don't know why they went back into the water. And I turned to the girl next to me and I said, well, not much of a Bible reader, is he? Because you go into the Bible, and as we go, it's going to show you, like around chapter 4 or something. Time we get to that point, you're going to start seeing why you can believe this book. It's not just a book written by a bunch of goofy men or something. Why it truly was written by men, for God, for mankind, okay? So, talk about these dolphins. Talks about the creation. We know from the Bible that man, okay, now again, scientists say man has been on this earth billions and zillions and all these years and all this crap, okay? When you go into the Genesis account, it gives you the order of creation. God created this and he created that. Then finally he creates man on the 6th day. And these days weren't 24-hour periods. So a lot of people say, well, it's 24 hours, But that's not true. Things don't change. If you plant a flower seed, it doesn't come up in 24 hours. Same laws hold true that they did then. God's laws don't change, okay? According to the Bible, man has been on earth 6,000 years. Okay, so when they talk about this stuff, I know they're full of baloney. And every fact they dig up and they find harmonizes with the Bible. Like the layers of creation they're finding. They're not finding fossils that are half man, half fish. They're not finding fish with legs that ran around the earth. They're not finding any proof. All it is a bunch of men guessing, coming up with these thoughts and these theories that they can't prove true. They make money, they make a name for themselves, and they don't give any credit to God, the Creator. And the more we go in here, and something else it's not. Now, I know you said you went to the born-again church, and I'm really encouraging you as your sister, do not go to church. I repeat, do not go to church. If you want to learn about God, go to the place where they know His name, a kingdom hall. My goodness, the God we worship has a name, and people don't even call Him by His name. His name is Jehovah. It's in the Bible, okay? So anyway, do me a favor. Don't go to church. Go to a kingdom hall if you want to learn more. Better yet, just listen to the tapes. Take in the knowledge. Decide for yourself. This is not some kind of an emotional... Wait a minute. That cat. Get out of the bird seat, you lunatic. Wait a minute. This cat. Get out of there. Get out of there. I'm talking to Uncle Charlie. Get out of the bird seat. Goofy cat. I'm going to ship you out to Las Vegas. Like you're not fat enough, Goofy cat. Hey, where was I? What? Now I got to back up. I don't even know where I was sitting. The goof scared me to death. Come out here and lay down here, will you? And nothing else in his life except to getting a bag of birdseed. Oh, let's see. What are we talking about? Wait a minute, I got to back up. Anyway, sorry about that. You'll hear that occasionally from time to time. Anyway, okay. A lot of people go to church and get real emotional, like I just wasn't right now, yelling at the cat. Okay. Anyway, they go to church, all joking aside, they get like an emotional high, and they come out of there and they're, oh, wow, I love God, praise the Lord, yeah, and yet, what do you know about God? Nothing. They don't know anything about God, not His purpose for mankind. They don't even act like a Christian's supposed to act. You're supposed to be loving and kind and probably not yelling at cats for getting in birdseed, But all joking aside again, people don't live like the Bible says you're supposed to live, and they bring a lot of problems on themselves, and then they blame God, So listen to the tape, take in the knowledge, and like I said, decide for yourself if it's the truth or not. It's very reasonable, and it makes you think, and it should. Anybody who just listens to somebody, if somebody tells you God's this or God's that, they should be able to prove to you why they're saying that, and they should be able to prove it with the Bible in more than one scripture, because a lot of Trinitarians will use one scripture to prove He's the Trinity, but yet the Bible's filled with verse after verse after verse that shows God's not a Trinity. He's a separate person, we'll call Him, a spiritual person, and Jesus Christ is separate. But we'll get into all that stuff later, because I know you didn't go to church a lot, and I never got nothing out of church, I mean, it was almost a joke going, And yet, I know there's a God. I always felt we were created, that there was something more to this life than you live, you die. There must be. And we'll get into that. But, the Bible says that when you look at His creations, it's really inexcusable to think there's not a God, because like I was talking about the snorkeling, or if you go near those mines, all the minerals and ores and things that are here on this earth, and all the things man can make out of them, plus just the way the mountains look, the lakes, the rivers, the forests, the stars at night. It's too many beautiful things that are perfectly created. The only time they're out of whack is when man has done something to them. It's like our lakes. When we were kids, we'd go up to East Harbor. The water wasn't that bad. There was great big clam shells and little spiral shells and things. Now you go up there, you can't even see your feet when you're in like a foot of water, you know. It's nasty looking. But what's that? It's pollution, you know, and people go on their boats and urinate in the lake, and I can't handle that, you know. I go in that water and swim. The last thing I want to do is drink toilet water, you know. But anyway, just do me a favor, because I truly believe there is a God. And like I said, this world's out of control. And the thing is, God's going to do something about it really soon, Charlie. And if we don't know Him and we're not trying to get to know Him, then, you know, it's a time of judgment, a time where He's looking at us to see what kind of people we really are. And those who want to be good, and those who want to live on this earth and respect it and respect Him, they're going to be here. And I truly believe that, okay? So, I don't know if I should start over in this book or not with you, because we did chapter 1. Maybe I'll tell you what. Tonight what we'll do is just go, we won't really look up a lot of scriptures or anything. We'll just review chapter 1. That way, if you don't have the tape, I'll just take it through and then catch you up to chapter 2, okay? Let me see here. Okay, now get your red book. Pick up that book. Please. Come on, Charlie, pick up the book. Okay, don't pick up the book. Okay. All right, listen. Red book, it says you can live forever on paradise earth. Or in paradise earth, okay? Now, let me read the thing. First of all, open the first page. There's nothing there. Okay. Open the next page. Picture of people in a garden. Guy hoeing the ground, okay? Chinese, white people, you know. We're all related. We're all out of Adam. You know, there's no prejudice in the Kingdom Hall. I'm not prejudiced. I never was. I was raised in a prejudiced house where people hate blacks and Chinese and Mexicans. I'm not. And I'm so glad, because there's no reason to be that way. There's good people and there's bad people. It's that simple. Good ones, bad ones. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter what country you live in. There's good and there's bad. Okay? Now you turn the next page. It's got the table of contents. Okay? But this is from the Bible. It's Psalms 37:29 in the upper left-hand corner on one of these pages. It says, "It is the hope of this book's publishers that you will be among those of whom the Bible says, the righteous themselves will possess the earth, and they will reside forever upon it." Now here's the first promise, talking about people living on earth forever. And this book, by the time you're done with it with me, Charlie, if you got any kind of heart and any kind of love for righteousness in you, you'll believe it too, and you'll want to know more, and you know, I just can't get anybody in the family to listen. You know, Mom studied for a while, and then she went right back to her Trinitarian church, which is her choice. I'm not trying to make somebody do this, but everybody on this earth is being contacted by Jehovah with this message that this earth's going to be a paradise again, and there's going to be good people living there. I want to be there, and I'd like you there with me, Charlie, living forever. Okay? Now, we did chapter 1. Do you remember that? Living forever, not just a dream. Okay? Now, the first paragraph just... Sorry, kid. I don't think I don't think bronchitis is catching, but I'm coughing too. Okay, most people don't think, if you ask people, why is it hard to believe you can live on earth forever? The logical answer is, they say, you die. It's that simple. Well, that's true. We do die, okay? So, all right, so now we're going to prove why we're saying it's not just a dream. Okay? Remember when we did this, it went into, I hope you did this. If you didn't, let me know and I'll redo it, but there's no sense doing it again if I already did, okay? That everything on this earth He's created for mankind, including, I'm at paragraph 4, 3 and 4 right now on page 7. Okay, the red book, page 7. Are you there? Okay. Okay, the paragraph 3 is saying everything on this earth is perfect for us to enjoy it, all right? Okay, we got plenty of food, plenty of water, air, everything's in harmony that way, okay? Paragraph 4 is saying scientists are talking about the human body, how it, you get cut, you heal. And they can't understand how this works, and what they can't really understand is why at one point in your life it stops doing that and things go, you start to decay, Okay, now I'm on page 8, summarizing. Okay, now, paragraph 5. We talked about, is it God's purpose that people live on earth? Okay, and we're going to look into it. And one of the scriptures quoted here is Isaiah. It says, it calls God the former or the maker of the earth. Okay, it says the former of the earth and the maker of it. He, the one who firmly established it, who did not create it for nothing, who formed it to be inhabited. Okay, what this means is when Jehovah made this earth, he made it for a purpose. He made it for man to live on it. Okay? Otherwise, he wouldn't have put the food, the air, all this stuff. So it was made for a purpose. Now, if you look at the picture over there on page 9, does that look like it should be? I mean, these are everyday events. You can't pick up a newspaper, turn on a TV where one of these things is not happening. Killing, rape, crime, children starving. Every day, every single day in this world we live in. So the question is, is this what he meant it to be? And of course it's not. Nobody in the right mind wants to live like this. Okay? Now, paragraph 7. What it brings out is Genesis 1:28. After God created Adam and Eve, he gave them a command. And this is what he told them. He said, be fruitful, become many, fill the earth, and subdue it. And subdue means take care of. All right? So this is that simple. This is what God wanted man to do. Have children, take care of the earth. How hard's that? You're not paying taxes. You're not driving a truck in rush hour traffic. You're taking care of the earth. And you're having kids and you're having a happy family. All right? But it didn't last for long. Right off the bat, and we think from studying, I don't know the exact dates. I think it wasn't the same day Adam was created, because we know Adam was given a job of naming all the animals, so that took a while. We figure sometime after he was in the garden, Eve was created, and then sometime after that, they sinned. And when we say sinned, what we're talking is they were disobedient to God. That's what sin is. It's anything that is not in harmony with God or is disobedient. Okay? So, now, just because these two people were disobedient, do you think that it could stop God's purpose if God had created them and God had created the earth? It seems like there's somebody a little more powerful here than just mankind, right? So, the scriptures bring out in Isaiah 55 that what God says, it will not come back without results. So if he says it's going to be filled with people, it's going to be filled with righteous people living forever. And again, it goes back to that one we just read in Psalms. It says, the righteous themselves will possess the earth, and they will reside forever upon it. Okay, now this stupid thing's going to stop here in a minute. I got to turn it over. You know what? I'm gonna fast forward it till it ends. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I might have a few more hours left here, huh? Okay. Well, it's gonna cut me off and then just turn it over. Big deal, Okay. Now, the Bible talks about, from the beginning to the end of the Bible, it talks about what went wrong in the garden. Sorry. What went wrong in the garden, what God's purpose is, and what he's going to do about it. So when we talk about the kingdom of God, am I going too fast here? I know you don't want to hear this, but you're probably so bored you're ready to listen to anybody. Okay. When he talks about a kingdom is another name for government. So when the Bible's talking about God's kingdom, it's not talking about heaven where he lives. It's talking about government. And a lot of this government, if you think about it, is based on Bible stuff, like laws of justice and all this stuff. So it's not far-fetched that man imitates God. All right, now, let me turn the page. And this tape is making me nervous. Go ahead and turn it over and then rewind it back so it gets going. I can't keep watching this tape. It's driving me nuts. Okay, turn it over and rewind it then. Bye. See you in a minute. Okay, I fast-forwarded. I hope it's I hope you're smart enough to rewind it. I don't care what they say about you. I know you are. I trust you. Okay. All right. So anyway, we're on paragraph 9. Okay. Just to start again, because that's not going well here tonight. I'm really tired, Charlie. It's about midnight. I've been up since 7:30. Okay. We know so far in this book, we read all the scriptures. God made the earth. He made man. He put him here. Man sinned, and that brought death into the world. Okay, and we're going to get into that more, about why we die and all this stuff, because I used to always wonder, why are we dying? If this guy is love, what is the problem? We're dropping like flies here, Okay, well, we'll get into that. Okay, now, not only are we put here, but we want to live. Nobody wants to die unless they're really mentally unstable, or they have a lot of problems in their life, or they're unhappy. But if you're happy and you're with somebody you like, or you're with your family having a great time, you don't want to die, and you don't want anybody you love to die either. It brings a great deal of sorrow, which is another teaching that you'll hear in a church. Well, God has taken someone from earth to be with him. It's a bunch of baloney, Charlie. I mean, you wouldn't grab somebody you love from somebody else and give them pain. Well, neither does God. So we're going to find out later why we die and all that stuff. Well, right now we're talking about paragraphs 9 and 10, talking about he's put eternity into our minds. We want to live. Now, it brings out that God's made the earth to last forever. So if the earth was to last forever, man should live forever too. Because like it brings out, surely a loving God would not create humans with a desire to live forever and then not make it possible. That'd be cruel, okay? Okay, now we're going to skip 11. And I'm going to try to sum it up and make it into what we've got so far. Okay, now let me see here. I'm reading here now real quick because... Okay. This is interesting in paragraph 16. Okay. Everything's getting worse. If man's running the show here, and he's got it under control, everything should be getting better, Charlie, but it's getting worse. And this is in harmony with the Bible. Now, it's hard to, there's so much to this, it's hard to simplify it, to get it out so it makes sense to you, because there's so much to learn and to take in. But again, God made the earth, he made man, man sinned. God has a way for man to be redeemed from the sin, or forgiven. That's not the problem. The problem is in the garden, there was issues raised, and one of the issues was, can man rule himself? And so God has allowed a certain amount of time, a time period, for man to rule himself, to prove the point. Can man rule himself? And that brings it up that conditions are worse. And that's exactly what the Bible said they would be, with man ruling himself. And when the time period we're in, okay, think of it this way. Okay, God's given us all this time to prove this point. We're now at the end of that time, where God's going to step in and get rid of the wicked and have his government rule mankind, which is really the only solution, because mankind's not getting anywhere with theirs. Just take a good look at Clinton here, Hillary. Do you really want to live under them for the rest of your life? Okay, so the Bible says in Matthew 24, because people who want better conditions want to know when it's coming. And God always tells the answer to everything, Charlie, to the Bible. He said in Matthew 24, these are the signs he gave Christ. His disciples asked him, what will be a sign of your presence or his rulership, okay? And he said, and I'm going to turn to this one, okay? Let's go to Matthew 24. Hopefully this will go a little smoother. I might have to finish this tomorrow evening, because I'm running out of time. I don't want to botch this up so bad, or listen to another tape I send you. Okay, this is Matthew 24, chapter 24, big 24. I know how well you know a Bible here, okay? Don't feel bad if you don't, okay? It's on page 1247 in the Bible. Okay, it's about 3/4 of the way through the book. Each book is marked into chapters, and then verses are numbered. So you got Matthew with a big 24, and then starting with the little 2 is the next one you hit here. But it goes, reading in there it says, and this is talking about Jesus, while he was sitting upon the Mount of Olives. Okay, this is a location near Jerusalem. This is a favorite place you like to go. Okay, the disciples, or the people that followed him, there's 12 of them. Even though there's more people, there was 12 that he picked himself. Okay, they came up and they said, the disciples approached him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your presence and the conclusion of the system of things?" All right, so you got 3 questions here. They were making reference to the first verse here in this book. Okay, they were talking about, the first thing is, when will these things be? That was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. And we'll get into that more, because if you don't know anything about it, it's like talking Greek or something, okay? Well, let me tell you something about it now. Then you kind of got a background if you don't know it. Whew, boy, hard to summarize. Okay. He created Adam. Okay, remember Adam and Eve? God created mankind, Adam and Eve. There was a problem there. God's got a purpose. Now, God works this purpose out. He could have just annihilated them, but he's not like that. Okay, it wouldn't be justice. Plus, he said these people would fill the earth, and you and me and the past people, we are the people who are going to fill the earth. We are the offsprings of Adam and Eve. God made a prophecy in Genesis chapter 3:15, first prophecy in the Bible, about what would be the solution. And the solution would be Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is not Jehovah. Okay, Jehovah is God the Creator. Jesus Christ is his first creation, or his son, you could call him, all right? Or we do call him, that's, right? So, you've got 2 different spiritual people here. Not the same ones at all right? Now, through Jesus, there'd be the working out of this problem. Jesus Christ would come. He would shed blood for the blood that Adam lost. And we're going to get into all this stuff more, where there's more details, okay? I just want to give you an overall picture so you see where we're going, okay? That's probably the best bet. Give you an overall thing, and then when we start working on details, you'll understand what we're talking about. Okay, through Christ, all these things would be worked out. In fact, I'm going to stop in the book and explain that to you. That makes more sense, okay? Okay, so through Jesus, this would happen. Now, it's not just a hit or miss thing. Christ was going to be born a certain time later, all right? So there was a promise given through Adam's descendants. He would come, and he was promised to a man named Abraham that through him Christ would come, this Messiah. So through Abraham, all right, this guy named Abraham, then he had a son named Isaac, and Isaac had a son named Jacob. Well, they had other sons, but these are the ones through which Christ, the family history you'll call it, was born, okay? Through Jacob had 12 sons, and the 12 sons multiplied into the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, we're talking Israel. We're not talking about the Israelites over there today or the Jews today. We're talking about, they lived about where Iraq is now. That's where this was. The countries change and the things change, but this is the vicinity about where they live. So, out of Jacob came these 12 tribes of Israel. And these tribes were the ones, and they weren't like, I'm not talking like African tribes, people running around with spears here, I'm talking about large groups of people. We're talking millions of people here, because everybody then lived longer, they had more children, blah, 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 so they got a humongous bunch of people. These were the ones God blessed, not because they were so good, but because Christ was going to be born of one of these tribes on down the line. And he was born of the tribe of Judah. This is one of the tribes. Okay, there was the Levites, tribe of Dan, I think it was. And anyway, Judah was the one. So through the tribe of Judah, it was Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and then you got Judah. And then, remember a guy in the Bible, maybe you don't name King David? Well, then King David married, he married, and then they had children, and it goes right on down to Joseph was of the tribe, the history of Judah, and and Mary was also from the tribe of Judah. So Christ was born to these people out of this tribe. Okay, so God's favor stayed upon the Israelites throughout time. See, when Christ was born, how long have the Israelites been on the earth? I'm drawing a blank here. I'll find out and get back to you on it. Anyway, so when they have these wars and things in the Bible, and God protected them or God helped them, it wasn't because they were marvelous people. It was because for all mankind needed a Savior, and the only one that could do this was going to be Jesus Christ, who was going to be born from these descendants of these people. This is why the protection was there, okay? Plus, if they obeyed His laws, He did protect them. They received a lot of blessings, but when they were disobedient, He punished them, and rather harshly, I might add, in some particular place. Now, after Christ was born, and He lived, and He taught, okay, the group of people that put Him to death was, excuse me, was the Jews, all right? So, the nation of Israel, or Judah, all right, because the tribe had split, they put God's Son to death, and they didn't accept His teachings. So now they no longer had God's favor. God's favor was now, had they accepted Christ and followed Him and did what He said, if you wanted to worship God, you would have had to become a Jew, because that's what you used to have to do. They knew the true God, Jehovah. They worshipped Him. They had His laws. They had all the knowledge about Him. So if you wanted back then to worship the true God, you had to become an Israelite. Well, once they put Him to death, well, you certainly don't expect God to favor Him, right? Anybody who wanted to worship the true God had to follow the teachings of Christ. And there's where you get the name Christians, okay? So, back then, Jews had to no longer stay in the Jewish religion. They had to become Christians, or what the Bible called it was the way. We call it the truth today because it's the truth about God. The truth. Boy, I'm belching like a maniac here. Sorry. Okay. The truth has always been on the earth. It's always been on the earth for mankind. All right? Let's see, what was my thought? My thought is it's 12:16 p.m. I should be in bed with a cat somewhere. Okay. Let me think here now. Okay. So today, if you want to find and worship the true God, you have to find the group that is following, same thing, following God's laws and doing what He's saying. It's that simple. Now, if the Bible has all the answers in it, like all the religions teach, there should not be different teachings. Everybody should be united in the same thought. You either die and go to hell, or you don't. Either there is a purgatory, or there isn't a purgatory. That place, Catholics believe that when you die, you stay in this place because they pay enough money and then you get out, which is ridiculous. How could you possibly put a value on somebody's life, Okay, but the point I'm making, Charlie, is if everybody's following the Bible, we all should be talking the same way. But we're not. All the religions are divided, and everybody's running around saying, no, my religion's the best, my religion's the best. Well, I'm not going to say that to you. I'm going to tell you. Read this Bible with me. You decide who's telling you the truth, okay? Who's not. It's very important. Our lives depend on taking in accurate knowledge and then doing something about it, okay? So, in a nutshell, that's all it is. Adam and Eve sinned. God's going to do something to fix it. His purpose has not changed. Man's going to live on this earth. He sent Christ. And there's a time period. One of the issues raised was, there was 3 issues. Does God have the right to rule? Can man rule himself? And, wait a minute. Wait, I gotta stop this. And the other one is, will mankind worship God? Will they do that? Does anybody want to worship Him? And the answer is yes, God has a right to rule. No, man can't rule himself. And yes, there are people who want to live peaceful and happy, Can you imagine a world without anybody yelling? Like I just yelled at the cat, just saying calmly, honey, get out of the bird seat. And the cat obeys, because even the animals are out of subjection. This earth is so far from what it should be, Charlie, that even animals are out of subjection. Okay, so, let me see here. Purpose of this book, and you don't have to use a book. You just listen. I don't care. It'd be better if you use it, though. You get more out of it. Is to help understand the Bible and God's purpose. And that's why we knock on doors to try to talk to people. Because, like I was telling you, God's allowed a certain time period. Well, the time period's up. We're running out of time here. And the message is going out. Things are clearer to people than they were before. And now's the time to listen to Him. Because we're running out of time. We're coming to a point called, the Bible calls it the Great Tribulations. It's going to be worse than we have ever seen in any time of history. And it's really interesting because you look at the things happening around you and they're getting worse. There was the earthquake in San Francisco. Then there's the earthquake in Los Angeles. And everybody will argue, well, there's always earthquakes. They recorded last year that the world has had more earthquakes in last year than they've ever had before in history. Then you got the big floods of Mississippi, all right? We just had the Chagrin River and the Cuyahoga River, the ice break up. Wiped away houses in Lakewood. Remember where I lived? Rocky River. Not where I lived, that's a little far from the lake, But over in that area where we used to go down the park and stuff, bad things are happening, and they're getting worse, and they're getting more often, they're getting more frequent, and we're looking at it. Is this escalating, or is it going to calm down? There's more cries about peace going out. Worldwide, you hear the president? Listen to what Thessalonians says, the book of Thessalonians. Okay? Talking about this thing about peace. Gee, I hope you're still listening to me. You know what? If you turn this off, you said, I don't want to listen to this woman, Okay, now listen to this. This is a prophecy in the Bible. Prophecy is the Bible's telling what's going to happen. And it's talking about our time period. This would be what was going on. It says here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, this is on page 1475. It says, this is a prophecy. Whenever it, and I'm reading it now, whenever it is that they are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction is to be instantly upon them, just as the pang of distress upon a pregnant woman, and they will by no means escape. Okay? Now, worldwide, we're getting this cry of peace and security. Berlin Wall fell. All these events that I never used to pay any attention to, Charlie, things are happening in this world that are just too weird to ignore anymore. Okay? That was one prophecy. There's the prophecy, I started reading Matthew. They asked Jesus, what will be the sign of your presence? And when they say presence, they're talking about when he would begin ruling as king of this government. Now, you can't see him with the physical eyes because he gave up his life. We're talking about spiritual. Okay, let's go to Matthew again. Let me read these things. And you tell me if they're not happening in this world right now. Okay. Probably have to eat one of them cookies. You're gonna add it in the Bible as one of the things that happens, okay? Alright. This is Matthew 24 on page 1247 of your Bible. Okay? Matthew 24. I started to read it. They approached him and they said, tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your presence and the conclusion of the system of things, or the time period allowed for man to rule? Okay? And this is what Jesus said. He said, look out that nobody misleads you. For many will come on the basis of my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. Now, we just had that thing. Was it last year? That guy down in Waco, Texas, telling everybody he was Christ. People got killed. We had that nut in Guyana or whatever, that Jim Jones. People followed him and got killed. Charlie, none of those people would have followed those men if they'd read their Bible. They were following men, listening to what men said, believing what men were saying. You're not going to find that with a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not saying there aren't nuts out there, okay? But if it's not in the Bible, you don't do it. We're not, everybody says we're brainwashed, we're this, we're that. I'm going to tell you something. Everything I'm told is in this Bible. Everything I believe is in this Bible. It can all be proven. It's, it's not a bunch of people saying, well, I think this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Here we go. I'm going to continue now. This is what Jesus said. Okay? That's the first one. You're going to be misled, and many have been, okay? It says you're going to hear of wars and reports of wars. I'm in verse 6. It goes, see that you are not terrified, for these things must take place, but the end is not yet. Now, when he's talking about the end, he's not talking about the end of the world. He's talking about the end of men ruling men, and when God is going to step in, okay? Now, it says in verse 7, for nation will rise against nation, and kingdom, or government, okay? Kingdom against kingdom. Now, World War I, 1914, over 30 nations involved, all right? That's nation against nation. World War II followed, nation against nation. The next sign in the Bible given is there'll be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another. All these things are the beginning of pangs of distress. There we go. We've got those. We've got people starving, not just in other countries. You walk out and you see the homeless starving. There's hunger, and there's a spiritual hunger. People want to know about God. They want to know why we live, why we die, why one person survives a wreck and one person doesn't, why there's great flooding and all this stuff, okay? Verse 9, it says, then people will deliver you up to tribulations and will kill you, and you will be objects of hatred by all the nations on account of my name. So it's saying anybody who wants to live right and do right, people are going to hate you. You try to be good, people go out of their way to be nasty, okay? Then verse 10, it says, then also many will, now we're on page 1248, Charlie, okay? It says, then many will also stumble and betray one another, and will hate one another, and many false prophets will arise and mislead many. And we see them. All you got to do is turn your TV on, okay? It says, because the increasing of lawlessness, the love of the greater number will cool off. Now what that means is, the further we get along in time, the less people are worshiping God and obeying Him. So when it's talking about lawlessness, it's talking about because the increasing of the lack of the law here, the love of mankind's cooling off. Look, they've got 12-year-old kids killing each other. They've got, horrible things going on here, okay? But it says, but he that endures to the end is the one that will be saved. And verse 14, and this good news of the kingdom, or the government, will be preached in the inhabited earth for a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Now that's pretty. When I heard that made a lot of sense to me. And when I started understanding more about this kingdom or government, it all fits in. And it's talking about, people argue, well, it's always been like that. But if you drop down to verse 32 now and read this, it says, now learn from the fig tree as an illustration this point. Just as soon as its young branch grows tender and it puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. Okay, so when we see the trees budding, Charlie, we know spring's coming, all right? Summer's coming. It says 33, it says, likewise also, when you see all these things, know that he is near the doors. Truly I say to you, that this generation will by no means pass away until all these things occur. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. Now, it says heavens and earth will pass away. He's not talking about, what he's saying is they'll pass away before his word passes away. This is the truth. These things are going to happen. These things are going to occur. Okay? Now, it goes on a little further. It compares it to the days of Noah. Remember that story in the Bible about a flood? Noah, only 8 people got an ark. God wiped out the world. But he didn't destroy the world. He destroyed mankind. Well, it says in verse 36, concerning that day and hour, nobody knows, neither the angels of the heavens, nor the Son, making reference to Jesus, but only the Father, okay, the Creator. It says, "For just as the days of Noah were, so the presence of the Son of Man will be. For as they were in those days before the flood, eating, drinking, men marrying, women being given in marriage, until that day Noah entered into the ark, they took no note, until the flood came and swept them all away. So the presence of the Son of Man will be." Okay? And you drop down to 42, it says, "Keep on the watch, therefore, because you do not know on what day your Lord is coming." Okay, so anyway, a point here, and then I think we read Timothy, where it talks about how else mankind would be. Now that's world events that are happening when Christ is ready or is ruling. And then if you go into Timothy, it talks about what would people be like. Okay, now this is on page 1485. During this time period, the end of man ruling himself, what would it be like on earth? Well, we've got these earthquakes, we've got hunger, we've got famine, we've got nuts ruling people, all right? Now, talking about what people themselves would be like on page 1485 in the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, I'm going to read 1 through 5, and this describes people. Well, actually, I'm going to read to about 7, okay? It says, and listen to the words, because it says, and it doesn't matter, Charlie, people say, that's their Bible. You give any Bible to any witness out there, Charlie, and they'll show you the truth in it. Jehovah protects His Word, okay? All the Bible is a translation. It was originally written in Hebrew and Aramaic and then in Greek. So any Bible you're reading is a translation. But what I like about this one is it's been as accurately translated as it can be. And the words that were in Greek, like if they had the word tree in Greek, where it's supposed to be tree, they put tree. They don't put branch, they don't put limb, they put tree. Where many Bibles will change the word and it changes the meaning. Okay? Back to the book here, kid. Okay, Charlie, it says, but know this, that in the last days, okay, the last days before God does something, okay, that's what it's talking about. It goes, but know this, that in the last days, critical times hard to deal with will be here. And, buddy, it's tough out there, you know. I don't have to tell you, Charlie, you know. It says, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, they'll be self-assuming, haughty, blasphemers. Okay, and a blasphemer is someone who speaks against God, okay? Disobedient to parents, unthankful, disloyal, having no natural affection, not open to any agreement, okay? Slanderers without self-control, fierce without love of goodness, betrayers, headstrong, puffed up with pride, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God. I'm reading this right out of the Bible. This is talking about how men would be. And it's like this worldwide, okay? Picking up again here in verse 4. Okay, it says, back up, it goes, betrayers, headstrong, puffed up with pride, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God. Okay, having a form of godly devotion, and from these turn away. Okay, then it goes on about men slyly working in the household and captive wives and all this junk, okay? But the point in 7 is these people that are doing these things, this is always learning and yet never able to come to an accurate knowledge of the truth, okay? This is important because you got them out there, you know, like that Jimmy Baker and all them preachers. Oh, they're preaching that Bible and yet they're sleeping with the prostitutes and then they're crying saying, oh, I'm sorry, Lord. And all the people following them are going, well, that's okay, Jimmy, because I might want to do it too sometime. You know, I mean, that's the basics of it. If the Bible says don't do this, you don't do it, you know. And if you condone, or I would say condone, that's a word, condone somebody doing it, then you're doing it yourself, you know. So anyway, I'll stop preaching to you tonight. You've had enough, kids, you know. You're so good to me. You listen to me. I love you, Charlie. Mom said you hurt your knee. You got a piece of metal in it, you know. That's lousy. Good. I hope they got it out. I didn't do anything quite that traumatic. I ran a toothpick through the bottom of my foot. That was a thrill. Broke off in there, but boy, it was in. boy, about half an inch in, broken off, and there was a piece sticking out. I was able to pull it out, but it was hard getting it out. It was like wedged in there really tight. So I'm wearing shoes more often. And let's see what else. I don't know a whole lot. Just the same old stuff. Go to work, try to make some money, pay off some bills, and wait for God to destroy the wicked. Ma said you got to see the kids more. That's good. I haven't had a picture. I haven't talked to Kim for a while since I don't think she will be calling because, I don't know, she kind of weirds out because of that guy she's married to, you know. He don't have a full deck, I don't think, you know. But she married him. Excuse me, I'm yawning. So, I feel bad for her, and it's not much I can do for her, you know. Just encourage her to keep going to meetings and doing what Jehovah says, and he'll take care of it, you know. And let's see. Rick goes to meetings up in PA. We were going to go down to the Bahamas because the Kingdom Halls are everywhere, Charlie. Over 230 lands. That's what's so neat about this. It's worldwide because God's organizing a nation. And but Rick was so sick we didn't get out, you know, because he was up on his feet one day and we left the next. But let's see what else we're doing. I keep yawning away. Oh, that was really rude. Well, kid, I probably bored you to death. I hope everything's going good. I checked for the insurance at Bond, but they don't do anything that size here on earth moving equipment, or at least the guy I know, he didn't know anything about it, so I don't know if you found anything else on it. But he didn't seem to know anything about a bond for that. You know, Rick's going to build about another year and then he's going to get out of it. There's too many problems with it. You know, something goes wrong, they sue you or whatever. But, oh, Charlie, I can't keep awake. Oh, you want me to squish a cat so he'll holler hi? Walter, come here, honey. Say hi to Uncle Charlie. Come here. Well, he's looking at you, if that makes you feel better. Well, we got a hamster in there named Trimmer. You know why? Because he's like that movie. Oh, man, this thing. It's a Siberian dwarf hamster. Okay, real cute little gray thing. Black stripe down his back. He buries himself in the chips, you know. He's real cute. Well, they told us as we're walking out the door. Oh, yeah, he bites a little more than regular hamsters, you know. Yeah, poor Harvey, you know. He goes in there to pick his little hamster up, and this thing shoots out of the chips like this like this monster in that movie Trimmer, you know. Chomps him in the finger and won't let go, you know. The kids say, yeah! So we named him Trimmer because he's like a trimmer, you know. He buries and then chomp. Well, I'm not as stupid as I look. I'm stupider, you know. But no, every time he comes out at me, I jam a piece of hamster food in his mouth, you know. So I've kind of made friends with him, you know. Every time he hears me, he figures he's getting another hamster toastio or whatever. So he's come along pretty good. But for a while, the kid had to wear gloves to handle his hamster, you know. That's pretty sad, you know. That's pitiful. So anyway, Trimmer's in there running in his wheel. And I got two frogs, Leonard and Lucy. I suppose I told you about them. They're dwarf frogs, water frogs. Real cute little buggers, you know. Had them. Be 2 years in April. Rick got them for our anniversary a couple years ago. And we got our two cats. You could call them that. Tubby 1 and Tubby 2. Tubby 1's about 20 pounds and Tubby 2 is about, Walter's probably 16 and a half pounds, but he's very athletic, so he's in good shape, you know. But, let's see, I went to the mall. I told you that. I don't know. What I do is I'm going to keep track of what I'm doing. That way we'll have more to talk about. I won't bore you to death, and I'll be wide awake when we're talking, Charlie. That'll make a big difference in our conversation, you know. And I'll limit your Bible things, you know. Get bored and fast forward me, kids, you know. But, I'll just write to you this way, okay, Charlie? That way I can, I don't know. I hope we get out to see you soon. Rick keeps promising me once we get a good airfare, I can shoot out there for a weekend or something. I'd really like that, okay? Now that you're between women. Hopefully you're not between two women, but you're in between women, you know. So, anyway, I'm glad you feel good. I'm glad you got everything's going good. It gets kind of lonely living by yourself sometimes. You know what? I'm going to throw another magazine in that box. It's on loneliness and how to cope with it and stuff. because we all get lonely. I know when I lived alone, it drove me nuts sometimes. If I had it to do it again, though, I think I'd enjoy it more. I'd be watching TV and, you know, ordering room service or something, you know, having a good time that way. But anyway, I love you, Charlie. You take care of yourself, okay? And I'll send you out another tape as soon as I get enough stuff on it. Probably be, I don't know, whenever the mood strikes, kid. So this will be the end of side 2. So, alright, Charlie. Bye-bye. Love you.